Welcome back. Here we go through the answers to the second of your exam questions on lenses. And it's an experiment question. You carried out an experiment to measure the focal length of a converging lens. Draw a labeled diagram of the apparatus that you used in the experiment. So I recommend that you use a ruler to draw straight, anything that is straight in real life. Keep it neat and tidy. Draw in pencil and label in pen. Okay, so let's recall, what did you have in school? Let's keep it simple. Okay, so we had our optical bench. Again, you will be using a ruler, which had a ruler along it, didn't we? So let's just show that. So this is a graduated optical bench. Now you can just write ruler if you wish. Now the experiment was for a converging lens. So you did two very similar experiments. One was for a lens, one was for a mirror. So make sure you get the right one. It's the lens. Converging is the lens that's thicker in the center. So just take a moment to make sure you're thinking of the right thing. Okay, so at one end then, and we don't have to be artistic about it, we had a light source. We plugged in the little lamp. Then we had a slide with a letter or a shape on it. Okay, the one in UL that you use had a crosshairs, and we'll call this the object. Okay, on the next slider or holder of your experiment, you had the lens itself. So, and it is a converging lens. And finally, in the last holder, you had a screen. Now again, we don't have to be too artistic as long as we label everything. Now the other important parts to mark on one of these diagrams is, and I'm sure we're going to be asked later in the question, so we may as well do it now, the distance from the object to your lens is known as U, the object distance, and the distance from your lens, the center of your lens, to the screen is known as the image distance, V. So there are 12 marks going for that. It only took a few minutes. So if you're thinking of the correct experiment and how you did it, and you're very familiar with it, you should get full marks. Let's see how that was graded. So 12 marks in total. They're given out in one bunch of 6 and 2 3s. Alright, converging lens, did we include that? Yes, we did. So we used the lens, not the mirror. Did we include our object, which is like a cross wires? Yes, we did. Okay, did we include a screen? Yes, we did. Okay, and a measure or a method of measurement, the meter stick, or we had our graduated bench. Yes, we did. Okay, so you get for the first one that you got the actual lens, 6 marks, and then if you have 2 of the others, this or this or this, so 2 out of 3, you got your next 6 marks, making 12. Okay, so it's very worthwhile learning your diagrams. Part 2, describe how you found the position of the image formed by the lens. Okay, so how? So it's not asking you to explain why, it's how. So what did you do in the lab when you were there? Okay, so what did we do? We set the object distance u. We moved, and again it's physics, we don't need to write essays or even full sentences. Keep it short and simple. We moved the screen back and forth until when? Until you saw a clear or a sharp image was formed or was seen or whatever. It doesn't have to be word for word once you get the important parts, and we'll see that in the marking scheme. Part 3, what measurements did you take? Now, going through the diagram, we marked U and V, and these are what was measured. So going through the diagram, when you're drawing that, you should be recollecting all the important parts of the experiment. So we'll do it in words. Object distance U and image distance V, and if you really want to cover your back, you'll say see diagram above. Okay, and that should give me 9 marks, imagine. Okay, let's check the marking scheme. So for the first part, describe how we got the image. So we moved the screen, okay, 3 marks, until there was a clear image, 3 marks. Easy peasy. And 3, what measurements did you take? Distance from the object to the lens, or U. This means, the 2 lines here means or. If you just wrote U, you'd get your marks. Distance from the screen to the lens was V. And again, we've said C diagram so that the examiner is crystal clear what we mean. Now, if you only got one of those right, you'd have got 6 marks. But if you get both of those right, you get 9 in total. So very generous. Now, the table shows the measurements recorded by you during the experiment. So we have values there for U and for V in centimeters. Using the formula 1 over F equals 1 over U plus 1 over V, or otherwise, and the above data, find the average value for the focal length F of the lens, and there's a whopping 13 marks going for this. So I'll do one of the results out fully, and then we'll just write down the other ones. Okay, so this will be calculator work. So we're going to start with the first set of data here, 20 and 64. 1 over F will be equal to 1 over 20 plus 1 over 64. Okay, I'm going to use the fraction button on my calculator. 1 over 20, and add that to 1 over 64, and the result I get is 21 over 320. And now I'm going to invert or turn upside down the 2 fractions. So I get F over 1, which is just F, equal to 320 divided by 21. And when you do that division, 320 divided by 21, you should get 15.2 centimeters. Okay, and so you repeat that process for all the other sets of data. So I'm going to pause the video and do that and give you the result. So the next set of data give me a result of F equals 17.7 cm. The next set here gave me F equals 20.2. Okay, I would have hoped they'd be closer if it was my experiment. The next set of data, 50 and 35, gave me 20.6. And the last set of data gave me exactly 15 centimeters. Now the question asks us to calculate an average value of f. So we have 5 values. We're going to add them all up and then we'll divide by 5. So the total of all was that I got was 88.7 when I added all 5 f's, and we have to divide by how many? Let's divide by 5. And I got 17.7 centimeters. So the average f equals 17.7 centimeters. So let's see, did I get 13 out of 13? So here are my values. So yeah, we had 15, 17, 20, 20 and 15. So there were 2 marks for each of the 5 f's. Okay, and getting your average, it will depend on how many digits you include and where you rounded. If you got somewhere between 17 and 18 centimeters, you get the final 3 marks. Okay, if you wrote down the equation with a single calculation, so just did it once, you got 3 marks in total. So I think we got 13 out of 13 there. So how did you do? For the experiment questions, there are always 40 marks. So put whatever you think you got out of 40 as a fraction, multiply by 100, and you'll get your percentage.